Patience is a virtue. If you don't possess it, don't worry, neither do I. Hi, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick, and today I'm going to talk about my severe lack of patience and where it comes from. So for those of you who don't know, which is probably not many of you, since if I do the actual research on my audience, it is 100% female, and those females are my great Aunt May. Great in both sense of the word. She is both the sister of my grandmother and wonderful as a human being, and my sister, and possibly my sister's friend, and my friend. Well, I'm not going to give their name. I probably shouldn't have given my great Aunt May's name. Probably shouldn't have done that. But little do you know, I'm actually Spider-Man. And, regardless, I don't possess patience. And I don't really possess the patience to do too much research, except for the fact that getting on Spotify and doing that research is really super easy. It really is. Like, I really just am able to get on Spotify and look and see that my audience is 100% female. And then I say to myself, who do I know who's actually listened to my podcast? And it takes about 2 seconds. It really takes about 2 seconds. And I must say, ladies and gentlemen, developing an actual audience for this podcast, and I said ladies and gentlemen, it's really only ladies. And I must say, ladies, developing an actual audience for this podcast is something which requires, say it with me now, requires patience. Patience. Not human beings lying in bed wondering when the doctor will show up. No, it requires patience. That virtue that requires you to sit and wait. And wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait until the actual thing you are longing for happens. Now, I do not possess this virtue. Why not? Well, I don't know. I truly don't know. And the reason for that is because I am a member of the group of millennials known as the high achievers. Now, the high achievers in the millennial sect, you see this all the time complained about on social media. And I'm not going to agree with the complaints. I'm just going to state one of the ongoing issues with the high achieving millennials. You see, when we were in school, we mostly did well, and we did well with not too much effort. Truly. I mean, we tried. Like, we did, we tried hard. But trying hard and requiring effort to do well are two very, very different things. Let me illustrate. Now, if I sat down to a test, I certainly studied. I did. I reviewed the information to make sure the information was in my head. However, most of my book learning was done in class prior to the test, meaning that I wasn't using my individual study time to try and learn the thing that I failed to learn in the class. I knew the information. My study time was truly reviewing the information, making sure the information was in my head, and correcting the little bits and pieces here and there that needed to be corrected. This was work, certainly, that I had to do, but it was not time-consuming work. It was not all-consuming work. There were other people who had to be all-consuming in their studies. I did not have to spend a lot of time working on this test. I did not have to develop patience in learning. I did not have to develop it. I did not. This is not to brag. Having an A on a test that I took in middle school is not a flex. None of it doesn't matter. Literally doesn't matter. I remember the B plus I got because I'm an obsessive individual. It's not good or healthy. I don't recommend being like me. Find another way to be. But that being said, for most people who are millennials, our virtues are developed at school. And I never developed patience because of the way that I studied. Indeed, I never developed patience because of the way I developed playing sports as well. Now, ladies, I won't say gentlemen because I don't know that any gentlemen listen to this podcast. Ladies, I will not use this as a time to say what a fantastic athlete I was. I was not. I was not. I was terrible at most sports. And yet, and the way I overcame my being terrible at sports is I quite simply chose the most violent sports I could. And using those violent sports, I overcame the need to actually develop the patience required to develop skill at those sports. Now, I talked about this on a podcast before. Developing sports and finding that edge between being good and being great at a sport is getting to that 1,000th rep of doing the sport. So getting to that 10,000 hour mark, being able to say, oh, I've worked on this very hard, but you know what all of that work requires? It requires patience. And I never had to develop it because I developed skills instead that were easier to develop and that I could deploy much quicker. Now, all that, why am I talking about that today? Well, because I, at 32, switched careers into acting from business law. I set myself up for a hard lesson in patience because I, up to that point, had done things that did not require much patience for myself. Why? Well, law school was another example of just studying as needed to reinforce information, and then the bar exam was just, again, another show of studying. And then I got hired because I knew I was lucky enough to know a fellow at a law firm who was looking for associates. I was lucky enough to be hired on by that law firm because they knew me, and I, no patience whatsoever, quite literally just jumped in and was working almost immediately. I am now in a field where that's not how things work. I don't act for a company. I act for myself. I hire myself out. And the only way I can hire myself out is people have to know me, and no one knows me in this business. No one at all. This is a good thing. This is a new virtue that I am getting to develop as an adult. I did not know I was going to get here at the end of this podcast, but ladies, someday gentlemen, this is a good thing. As an adult, you should seek out activities that help you develop new things. In my case, I sought out a whole new career that would help me learn how to be patient. Patience. I am now learning as an adult how to put in the work and put in the time and earn whatever comes my way. I don't know what will come my way, but whatever is going to come my way, I am going to earn it because I'm in the gym and I'm working on getting to that 1,000th rep so that when I get to work, I am the best actor I can be. And I am learning. And I am learning beyond just the acting. What I'm learning is taking my time, being meticulous. And the only way you learn how to be meticulous is to be patient. Thank you for listening. This was 10 minutes on patience. I did not know it was going to end on a happy note, and it did. And I'm so glad it did. I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Thanks for listening.